Good afternoon, everyone. I am Glyza Layam Lahera, together with my co-reporter Ms. Maju Baliktar and Giselle Gaborni. So today, we will tackle about Lesson 3, Feeling as a Modifier of Moral Decision Making. So when we say feeling, what comes to your mind? So feeling is a state of reaction which we feel every day. So it is when we feel sad every day, or anger, fear, or happiness. So that is an example of feeling. When we say modifier, it means a person's quick thinking or reaction in that situation to make a partial or minor changes, which is to improve or to make it less extreme when we are in the processing of decision making. So our feelings driven us to create a decision which is good to ourselves or to help everyone or someone. So as a whole, feeling as a modifier of moral decision making is very important to know because our emotions drive us to create beautiful things or to create a decision which is beneficial to other people. So it is very important to know that our emotions plays a vital role when creating decisions in life. So, in this topic, we should know or we will know that feelings can shape or enhance or impede our ability to make ethical choices. Feeling in decision making. So feelings in general is an emotional state or reaction, experience of physical sensation like feeling of joy, feeling of warmth, love, affection, tenderness, etc. So what I said earlier, feelings mo na siyang ato ang gaka-feel everyday. Gaka-feel nato na siya when we are sad, if natin mga problema. And then when we feel also to the other person. Sa ato mga friends, we feel happy, and also sa ato mga boyfriends or sa ato mga bana, we feel love. Feelings are instinctive and trained response to moral dilemma. They can be obstacle to making the right decision. So it means instinctive response is mo ni siya ang automatic or immediate nga ang ato ang hunaan within that certain situation or within that state. While the trained response are shaped by previous experience and learning. So ang trained response is ma-base nato na siya sa ato ang mga experiences nga atong na agian. So sometimes, these emotions responses can hinder rational decision making by causing us to react based on emotion rather than logic. So with that certain state, maka-react din ta or din tay instinct nga mao na ang atuang buhaton, which is wala na to giuna-una kung sakto ba na siya or dili. So it is very important to know or very important to learn from our experiences para mabalaan nato kung sakto ba na or dili ang atuang mga gapang buhaton. So it needs to think critically with a certain situation, dili magpa-dalos-dalos. There are advantages of emotional decision making. So according to the recent research, feelings or emotions have positive effects on decision making. So here it is. So first, a totally emotional decision is very fast in comparison to rational decision. This is reactive and largely subconscious and can be useful when we face with immediate danger or indecision of minimal significance. So, our emotions decisions are often faster and more reactive than rational decisions, which means or which is beneficial in urgent situation, which is a quick reaction or quick action is required. So, our emotions can trigger immediate response that are crucial for survival or handling minor or everyday decisions. So, ang atwado ko ng emotions which is driven us to choose quickly, especially if nata sa survival life. Paras anang nata sa bukid or na mga kanang mga or tiger, something like that. So, kaning need ka o quick decisions tungod sa imong kahadlok or kaning kuan tungod sa imong kahadlok maka-create ka og decision which is very important on that certain situation para maka-survive ka. So for example, a driver instinctively swerves to avoid an animal crossing on the road, making a split-second decision driven by an emotional reaction to prevent harm. So naguna-huna siya para dili niya mapasakitan ang animal with that certain situation. So it needs a quick reaction. So this quick emotional response helps avoid an accident and potentially saves the animal lives. So naguna-huna siya or sa naano siyang immediate instinct niya nga dili niya gusto mapasakitan ang animal nga gatabog. So ang iyang gibuhat is nagkaning hunong siya o kadyot para makaagi ang animal. So it means, or he helped the animals to avoid an accident which saves the animals. Emotions may provide a way for coding and compacting experience, enabling fast response selections. This may point to why an expert's gut level decisions have high accuracy rates. So our emotions help condense and simplify experiences, which enable us to make an accurate decision, especially for experts. So over time, repeated emotional responses to similar situations can create gut feeling or intuition that guides decision making. So when we are experiencing something, and then nanana sa ato ang hunahuna nga kani mo ni ang ato ang angay buhaton, which is if manitabo na pud uto, nanana sa imong utok or nanana sa imong ulo nga kini ang dapat nga buhaton, which is gut feeling man nato nga nanatay gut feeling nga mauna ang atong angay buhaton mo na atong angay nga sundon, which is nanana sa ato ang intuition na nato which mag-guide sa ato ang decision making nga buhaton. So for example, a seasoned firefighter relies on gut feelings developed through years of experience to quickly assess the safest way to navigate a burning building and rescue individuals. Their emotional response allow them to make rapid and effective decision in life-threatening conditions. So tungod kay experience na kaayo sila nga firefighter, kabalo na sila unsay angay buhaton because they have the gut feeling tungod silang experiences nga na agian, which is maka-save siya og mga kinabuhi sa mga tao. Decisions that starts with logic may need emotions to enable the penal selections, particularly when confronted with near equal options. Our emotions can finalize decisions, especially when logical options are equally balanced. So when we face choices, which is logical, we can use our emotions to provide necessary things to make a final selection of the decision. So for example, a hiring manager faced with two equally qualified candidates might choose the one they feel a stronger personal connection with, believing in this candidate will fit better with the team culture. The manager's emotional response helps make the final decision when logical consideration alone are sufficient. So, both man daw ko ng mga aplikante ana is very successful and then they are very smart about that profession. So, ang manager is galibog siya kung kinsa ang iyahang dawaton because the two is very competent. So, iyahang basihan is iyahan ng emotion. Diha na nato gamiton ang ato ang emotion. Why? Because mostly manggod is pag ingana sa trabaho, our emotions is very important. Dapat yun masunod ato ang emotions kay ma-feel man nato kung kana ba siya is mas fit siya sa trabaho or dili. Samot na og kaning sa iyahang attitude or sa iyahang pakitungo sa kaning ubahang tawo, diha na tumabalan if they are totally fit. Dili lang tungod kay kompetensya, but as usual sa kanang the way siya mag-approach sa iyahang colleagues or sa iyahang mga boss. Emotions often drives actions that conflict with self-interest, which is prioritizing the ethical considerations, which is to choose the right thing. So, example, na yung mga employees na kaning nakabalo sa mga practices with that organization which is mga dili maayo or unethical, they've been driven by a sense of moral duty and empathy to those affected. So, kaning naluoy sila or gusto sila o makatarungan para matagaan og justice ang kaning katong mga affected, which is ilahang gitugan o kung unsay tinuod or ilahang gi-report para matagaan og justices ang mga affected, which is examples of conflict with self-interest, which is solving a problem bahalag wala kay kaning personal gain but as long as maka-help ka sa other people, which is very ethical or very good kay siya nga decision nga gibuhat niya, which is very helpful sa mga affected. So, next is emotional decision making can also come with a number of negatives. First is we make quick decisions without knowing why and they create rational reasons to justify a poor emotional decisions. So, this process known as a post-hoc rationalization. It helps us better about our decision but can help perpetuate poor decision-making patterns. So for example, or let me give you a scenario. Someone decides to quit their job in a fit anger and later justifies the decision by focusing on minor workplace grievances, overlooking the stability and benefits of job provided. They rationalize the emotional of decision to avoid facing the real consequences and the irrationality of their actions. So, tungod sa iyahang kasuko ni quit siya sa iyahang trabaho. And then late did he knows nga kanang iyahang trabaho which is mooy ga provide sa iyang self, sa iyahang family, and then ning quitan siya ni diretso siya o kaning desisyon nga mohawa siya ana nga trabaho, which is very irrational actions. And then these rational emotional decisions can make us a real consequences. So, tungod sa imuhang emotions, which is suko kay ka, and then ni-quit din ka sa imuhang job, and then nawadan ka og trabaho, nawadan ka og kwarta, and then nakatrabaho man ganing ka otro pero wala na parehas ni ato, which is mo na siya ang nahitabo sa quick decision and rational justification. Wala man lang niya gihuna-huna ang iyahang kaugalingon first kung unsay mahitabo ana. Intensity of emotions can override rational decision making in cases where is clearly needed. Intense feelings such as anger, fear, or excitement can dominate our thought processes, leading us to make decisions that are not well considered or negative. So, for example, a person in the midst of heated argument may say hurtful things they don't mean, letting anger overshadow their rational judgment to maintain a respectful dialogue. This intensity of their emotions leads to damaging their relationship and creating conflict. So with that state of emotion, suko na kaayo siya, and then wala na siya paki kung unsa man na iyahang mga naistorya dinha nga dautan, because kung tungod kay suko kay siya, bato lang pud siya nga bato og mga sakit nga storya, and then which lead to negative actions niya, which lead to negative decisions. Immediate and unrelated emotions can create mistake by distorting and creating biased judgments. In some cases, this can lead to unexpected and reckless action. Our emotions triggered by unrelated events that can spell out our decision-making processes, causing bias and irrational choices, which is tungod kay naka-feel taan ang emotion, naka-create ng tag judgment, which is very negative sa atong kaugalingon o sa laing tao, which is maka-create ta o sayop. So, for example, a judge is feeling upset about a personal issue, might unknowingly let this emotional state influence their verdict in a court case, leading to a biased judgment. The judge's unrelated emotion can affect their professional decision-making, potentially resulting to unfair outcomes. Means a judge has a personal issue, and then ang kanang iyang personal issue is naka-create na siya o negative effect sa iyahang trabaho. And then tungod ana nga emotional state or emotional niya nga feeling, maapektuhan ang pag-create of verdict ana or pag-choose of verdict ana sa husgado. And then it could affect his professional decision making, which is resulting into the unfair outcomes sa both sides. These projected emotions can lead to errors because people are subject to systemic inaccuracy about how they will feel in the future. When we make decisions based on how we think we feel in the future, we often mispredict our emotional responses, leading to decisions that will later regret. So, for example, someone avoids a challenging project because they predict it will cause significant problem or stress, but later realizes the experience was rewarding and not as stressful as anticipated. Their inaccurate projections of future emotion cause them to miss out the valuable opportunity. So, because sa ilahang huna-huna nga in the future is maka-create ra na siya og stress, so wala sila nagbuhat sa ilahang project. And then when kaning naano siya sa final decision, which is lugar sa teacher nga tingpasa na og grado, and then makita nimo ang mga classmates na nag-excel sila ana nga part, and then nakita nimo sila nga happy kaayo, and then ikaw wala kay gibuhat, and then nabagsak ka, and then did you know na kaning sayop di ay or na mispredict ang imong emotional responses ato nga certain situation. When we create things, dili lang kay hunaot na to kung unsay ato ang mabatian ana in the future. So we need to rethink and think critically nga kana siya nga buhatonon is very important, and you need to do a valuable choices imong kinabuhi para naa ka sa right track. And then you should be able to do or to accept the opportunity para successful ka in the future ug dili ka magbasol sa imong kaugalingon. So in conclusion, it is very important to know how our emotions can both positively and negatively influence moral decision making, which is highlighting the complex interplay between feelings and rational thought in ethical choices. So for you to be able to be successful soon, choose ethical choices, which is good. Do the right thing.
So I am the second reporter of Lesson 3, Feeling as a Modifier or Moral Decision Making. So here discuss the feelings in decision making, and I will discuss moral statement as expression of feelings. According to some linguistic philosophers called emotivists, the statement stealing is wrong is not a statement of fact. It is an expression of desire or emotion. The rule or maxim stealing is wrong means I desire that you do not steal. So, ang moral statement expression of feelings daw ay, base sa mga emotivists, ang stealing is wrong is not, uh, hindi siya nag-state sa pagiging fact niya or totoo. Nagbabase siya kung ano ang expression or desire na nais ng iyong emosyon. So, stealing is wrong means daw, I desire that you do not steal. Yung sabi ko, ang emotivism is hindi siya nag-review ng moral judgment, do not function as statement of fact, but rather as expression of the speaker's or writer's feelings. So, emotivism was expounded by A.J. Ayer in Language, Truth and Logic in 1936 and developed by Charles Stevenson in Ethics and Language in 1945. The emotivist thus goes further by saying that ethical statements being emotional expression are not verifiable. So, emotional expression are not assertion of what is true or false. They are like expression of state. There is no dispute or there can be no dispute on matters of taste. One cannot argue with one taste emotion. So, for example, if someone say lying is wrong, according to emotivism, they are not making a statement about lying being wrong. Instead, they are expressing their disapproval or negative feelings towards lying. So, there is no dispute or there can be no dispute on matter of taste. So, lahat tayo ay mayroong mga pagkakaiba and marami tayong mga pagkakaibang personalities and for example, gusto mo yan and ako naman hindi ko gusto, maaaring nagagandahan ka, ako hindi naman. So, we have a lot of differences, diversity. One cannot argue with one taste emotion. So, this is my report and Governor Giselle will be next reporter about the moral statement expression of feelings in a law. Thank you.
So, let me read it first. It may be said that an analogy between legal and moral statement may be made to show that moral statements may be treated like a factual statement. To criminal law, the allegation that one's act stealing is wrong may be established by evaluating the act of the light of the elements of the culture of stealing under the law. So, when we say stealing the law, when we say legal and moral, the first thing that may sink or come into our mind, it was defending or it was signifies the right of a people. So when we say the word stealing, we can already knew that it was a wrong or it was a sin or we're going to commit a mistake. So it was against the moral and legal principles of law. So what is stealing, by the way? So when we say stealing, it was receiving or taking someone's property without anyone's consent or letter of consent, that you need to send or ask for it first before taking or getting things from someone. So we should be reminded ourselves that taking someone's property without any consent can be considered as a crime or to be being committed by doing something which is wrong. That's why we should always remember that, for instance, the moral principle or a rule is stealing is wrong. So that is explained by moral or ethics teaches that the statement is meant to be referring to an act of taking someone else's property without the owner's consent. So the emotivist will still argue that such argument only provides that a certain individual act has characteristic that can be described as stealing. It does not make the statement stealing is wrong as a factual statement which is correct. Since all maxims or rules are non-factual and only the particular instances evaluated on the basis of these rules would be considered as factual. So when can we say that it was fact and it wasn't false? So we can only say that it was fact when we knew or we already knew to ourselves that it was true or it was fact or it was telling the truth or the fact that happens. So when we say stealing is wrong, it was considered to be a factual. So let's proceed to managing feelings. Aristotle wrote, anyone can get angry. That is easy, but to do this to the right person, to the right extent, at the right time, with the right motive, in the right way, that is not for everyone, nor is it easy. Book 2, Nicomachean. Ethics, in other words, your anger should not be displaced. The moral person manages his or her feelings well. So, as what Aristotle wrote, we people has different kind of handling our emotions. So, when we feel something bad or something that we can feel that it was devastating us or something that can make us upset, let's just take control of it. Don't be feel so angry or emotional at all times, because a moral person can able to control his or her feelings by defending his or herself in a right way. So there's always a right way of confronting or making things clear with the right kind of handling our emotions.